My name is Dr. Stephen ODO, the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce and Industry, EBONYI State. The global understanding is that no nation, no state can develop alone, can achieve, the required level of development if they work alone. So the whole idea of bringing in people to come and assist is an international standard. Even as we speak, even the developed countries are also making opportunities for people to come and invest in their economies. Because constantly, economic diversification is key to real development. As certain sectors have been saturated, other sectors opens up, and people also expect new investment that will produce new opportunities, and so on and so forth. So, for EBONYI State, we understand exactly what investment is all about, what investors would want to see. Because if you go to look for the visa of an American visa, and want to look for the visa to go to Chad, definitely the level of pressure will be different. There's something in maybe in US, there's something in China, there's something in those developed nations that is triggering people to want to go there. And that is the basis of our development strategy. We believe that there are things that we need to put on ground that will make somebody, if he comes into Nigeria and he asks questions, he will be attracted to EBONYI State. First, we began the development of agricultural sector. And because we understand that we have comparative advantage in the development of agriculture, and because we're a rural economy, we felt the best is to open up our road network so that people have access to our rural areas. If we're talking about rice production in most of the communities, the access to the producers, access to the farmers will only be possible if the investor can find his way to those rural areas. So it became very key that the first thing we'll do, especially in the last 5 years, is to open up the rural roads. I can assure you that the previous administration before ours also tried in that direction. What we are doing was a consolidation of the Elechi administration, because Elechi started what we call the unity bridges. It's all over the states. And that bridges brought linkage between communities that were previously not accessible. Communities that were separated by rivers and so on and so forth, where it was difficult for you to move from one community to that community. With the unity bridges of Chief Martin Elechi, that gap was closed up. And His Excellency the Governor of EBONYI State, Engineer Chief David Nwezomai, followed up by what I would call a consolidation of that strategy. And I'm sure you moved around for the few time, and some of you are in EBONYI. You know that you can hardly find a state outside Abuja and Lagos that you can enjoy smooth road networks that connect the entire local government. It's very difficult to find. I can say with all certainty, subject to your confirmation, that you can move from the center, Abakaliki, the capital, to the 13 local governments with smooth roads where you may not have a gallop. I'm not exaggerating. I'm sure the president was just here last week, and he also confirmed that excellent things are happening in EBONYI State. So we were doing that because we believe that that is key to investors coming in to the state. Another issue that promotes investment, which also focuses on the issue of security. In midst of all the crises across the country, EBONYI State may be the only state that you can comfortably visit in all the 6 geopolitical zones and do your business and go away without anybody molesting you. As journalists, you may want to cast your mind back. When last a kidnap case was reported in EBONYI State? When last a bank robbery was reported in EBONYI State? I'm sure you must have lost memory of that kind of incidents. That shows the level of security that we have in EBONYI State. And even in the midst of agitations across the regions, it is very difficult now to go to Zamfara. It's very difficult to go to any of the part of the northeast, north central, and so on and so forth. But in the southeast, with all the IPOP issues and so on and so forth, EBONYI State has been able to carve a niche for herself. EBONYI State remains the only southeast state where on Monday, with the popular seat at home, business activities are going very normally. and despite all the threats and so on and so forth. It is not a matter of, we are not trying to boast. We're also not saying that agitations in the Southeast is not in order. But we disagree with the methodology of the approach to agitation. We believe that we cannot close up our economy because we want to protest marginalization, because that becomes self-marginalization. We cannot destroy ourselves to make a point. Then we have other ways of making the world know that we're being marginalized. We don't need to destroy our economy. We are traders. And we also recognize that the level of poverty across the states makes it that there are certain persons that if they don't go out that day, they will not eat. There are certain persons that, that depend on daily income. And by the time you keep them, Mondays, most times, if other incidences happen, sometimes three times in a week, shops are locked up and so on and so forth. And we felt it's not good for us, and it's not an acceptable strategy for us to, to press home our point. And we also believe that it also discourages investors, because if you tell somebody your house is burning, you definitely don't want to sleep in your house. So you don't need to raise an alarm. You don't need to raise a false alarm, because neighbors will get scared of your own environment. So if we want investors to come and invest in us, we must not create some sense of insecurity around us. And that's why the state government did everything possible to ensure that we were able to curtail those excesses. And one other thing we also discovered that most of the promoters of the sit-at-home issues are not, and even those who live in Nigeria. Somebody is an Igbo man in Lagos. He wakes up on Monday, he goes to his shop, and he's doing his business and enjoying it. And he's telling the one in the Southeast to sit at home. So we believe that the best sit at home is where Igbos all over the world can agree. Even the man who is in US, who is in China, who is in Dubai, will all sit at home so that all of us will feel the impact. So that is why Ebonyi State government is not comfortable and has not been supportive of the sit at home order, because we believe it is counterproductive. It discourages investors. It creates some sense of fear to people who are trying to come and invest in our state. Apart from the roads network, which is tailored towards agriculture, if you move around, you can also see very fascinating projects, because we believe that in investment, there are things that trigger investment. We talked about the road, we talked about security. Another issue is if you go to our shopping mall, you can see a gingertic mall, which we believe that anybody who is coming around will find comfort, conduciveness to put his money in that environment. Another issue we faced was the issue of, as a young state, that has almost the least IGR and the least federal allocation, thinking of international airports looks like an unrealistic project. But if you visit an international airport, I'm sure, if every other person who has scored it have not scored it less than 80% completion rate, you can confirm. Why do we do that? We believe that if we must talk about the growth of the economy, we need the outside world. For instance, if you look at these days of sit at home, the major challenge we have as Ebonyi people is that our visitors cannot even access Ebonyi because of Enugu. Because when you are inviting somebody in Ebonyi and he has to come by he has to land in Enugu, and he cannot find his way to Ebonyi. So there is need for us to, if we are talking about an independent development strategy, people must have access directly to us, so that this connectivity is direct to Ebonyi land, and that we're already achieving through the international airport, which Mr. President gone through it, and it's not yet commissioned because it's yet to be completed. But we believe that all of us in this administration have assured ourselves that we must fly through that airport, and all of us are working towards that end. Then across the local government, one of the things that we've also done is to ensure that there is peace. That's another aspect of security, because even where the internal peace promotes productivity, internal peace promotes growth of the economy. If there is peace, and if there is peace, definitely there's going to be development. So we've also promoted interrelationship between communities, interrelation between one LGA and other LGA. I must admit that there is no perfect system. We've had some pockets of crisis, and like the case of Fiom, the case of Okawa, and so on and so forth. This is expected because most times some of these crises could be politically motivated. Some could be just because of the fact that we are people that utilize the land. It is expected that most times there are agreement over land, because most of the issues we're having, most of the community crises are land triggered, because everybody wants to farm on the land. So the land is not enough. So most times there is this squabble of who owns this land and who does not own that land. But what we must commend about state government, especially His Excellency the Governor, is his approach in resolving those kind of crises. It is only in Ebonyi State that if there is a problem in a community, the first people that suffer are his own appointees. In fact, you are a witness that most times, in all the communities where we have had crisis, government appointees are not usually the first victims, because we must leave government and leave government activities to go and resolve the issues in your community. Because as a commissioner, if I hear any rumor of any crisis between my community and that community, I will leave for the village, because I know if I don't leave for the village, I will leave the government. So I make every effort, sincere effort, to ensure that there are no crises across wherever we are coming from. Then another thing we've done also to encourage investors is the market development, which is trade. Very recently, just last week, we've been able to, elect new executives in the rice mill, because we believe the rice mill is the face of Ebonyi State, and we believe that if you have legitimate leadership, they will also promote the growth of the environment. Currently, we are working also in the integrated market, and that will also make me, talk about the serenity we've created in the town. If you are talking about development, I used to tell people that if those who developed Abuja were careless, we wouldn't have been enjoying Abuja of today. And most times, when such development pressure comes, it's usually not too easy for people. I'll give you an instance. When the government insisted that the markets move, people complained. But if you go and ask those in the timber first, it was timber that first moved. If you go and ask those in the timber shade, they will tell you it is a blessing for them to come there. When we asked that Tabakpa should move, that place is not a common place for a market, that an international market has been built, everybody was crying, abusing the government. I'm sure if you visit the international market, they're all celebrating the spacious environment, the serene environment, and so on and so forth. And very recently, we said Afipo Road is jam-packed, and it is also affecting our security, because when all these vehicles come directly into the town, it is very difficult for you to identify who is a stranger and who is not a stranger. And a new park was built, and everyone was asked to move. It wasn't easy, but I'm also sure that today, everybody, even those who criticize this, are enjoying the peace, the serenity of the environment caused by the relocation of the development of a common park for the rest of the transporters, and so on and so forth. What I'm saying in the first place is that these are major decisions that is instilling confidence of investors in Ebonyi State. And people are coming around to see, just very recently we hosted the National Joint Board for the first time that involves all the 36 commissioners of finance and permanent secretaries of Ministry of Finance hosted in Ebonyi State. Ebonyi State has become a place that people can come and relax, can come and, feel at home, feel safe without any threat to their life. And these are things that triggers investment.
Shopping mall, not just food, but
overdue.
everything has already been made available for investment. Can you tell us the level of market?
Yeah, for now, that mall has not been commissioned, even though it has been completed. There been a lot of interest. You are aware when, Silverbait and the rest of them came around. And you also know that investment is usually not, investment is not like going to buy something in the market and come back. There are a lot of considerations, there are a lot of issues people, resolve before they begin to put their money in a particular place. And most times when people come for inquiries and discussions, they will also go ahead and do some kind of evaluations of the process and so on and so forth. The issue is that as I speak, we believe that most of the people that have indicated interest in the shopping mall will soon come and take off their spaces. But for now, it's not taking off because I think we have rated the completion rate as 98 or 99. And I believe that based on the assurances of His Excellency that within this month or thereabout, the last finishing touches will be done. That is what part of the thing that the president commissioned. So we believe that with that commissioning, maybe the next time you'll be talking to me, we'll be going to visit the mall.
And like this year coming came into town, seeing a lot of the light strike and putting the government. Then I know this strategy.
Excellent. But if there's anything more than 100%, I'll give you more than 100. I'll give you 100%. But because of the fact that nothing is actually perfect, because it's good we look at this performance from this angle. When you are describing somebody, you also describe the person relatively in terms of resources available at his disposal, in terms of the opportunities that he have, and so on and so forth. If you look at EBONYI is not rated as a high resource state. Everybody has always seen what His Excellency is doing as more of a magic. Magic in the sense that even states that, let me describe the fact of oil states, because we measure richness in this country from the angle of the oil producing states because of the volume of income they have. Then we talk about highly commercial cities like Lagos, like Kano, like Onitsha, and so on and so forth. But does not fall into any of these people. So the question is, how is this is being done? It's just a matter of prudency, just a matter of somebody who is careful in the management of the little resources that they have. So for me, in rating His Excellency, I cannot rate him less than 95% because of I'll leave that other 5% because he's a human being. And when you prioritize governance, definitely there are areas you may not have focused because no government across the globe focuses on all sections of the economy. What you do is to prioritize areas of development, and that is why in most cases you have a kind of a development plan. That development plan ensures that you develop in a phase. You develop in a phase. Maybe like I said, we focus on agriculture, we focus on infrastructure development, we focus on security and so on and so forth. That is the stepping stone. Now, the new phase of EBONYI State, which we expect that before we round up in the first 1 year, is the development of MSMEs, because we believe that we've laid the foundation for the MSMEs to actually thrive. So it is left for us now to actually go all out to bring in investors who will come in with our own local investment drive to take advantage of those existing infrastructure, because infrastructure cannot bring development on its own. Infrastructure is like a platform that triggers development. So we already developing strategies where we capitalize on the existing infrastructure and to ensure that the growth of businesses are anchored on the existing infrastructures. Because EBONYI also, as a matter of economic policy, believes that it is not all about development of capacity. We also believe that we should utilize our capacities. In fact, it is only in EBONYI you can see this level of development, and they are not done by Julius Berger. They are not done by foreign firms. One good thing about capacity utilization is that it is our local engineers that are building the road. It is our local engineers that are building the airport. It is our local engineers that is building whatever that's being built in EBONYI. That's one special thing. And that is exactly the gifts we are giving to Nigerians. And that's why we are saying, if His Excellency is given opportunity and he drives this local content ideology at the national level, I'm sure the nation will see a dramatic change. It's not, in fact, it's not about when we want to do a particular thing, we are looking for a Chinese, we are looking for a German. And the real thing is that most of these people who come from outside to do those things for us are not even better than our own people. So EBONYI State have been able to show that this kind of roads can be built by engineers in our various ministries. This kind of buildings can be constructed by architects from our own ministries. No foreigner is seen in any of our sites. And I think it is a gift we wish to give to Nigerians. And that is exactly why the state is propelling our boss to present himself to the country, because we believe that we have got something to offer to the country.
Some the idea of mobile phone.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just about. It's not last year. It's this year now. It's just about. I think it was last month. Yeah, it was like yes. 2 months ago, say, just like I told you, in every investment drive, there are various responsibilities. The state will have to do their part. The investor will also have to do his part. Our part is we've provided the land for the investor. You know what I'm saying? There is a mortgage arrangement which has already been finalized because the mortgage company that was supposed to fund the transaction was also on ground to say, we will be providing these funds to this extent. So that will tell you how realistic that investment drive is. I'm sure they have gone home to tidy it up. And I want to assure you that in no distant time, you see some light within that environment that is dedicated to the project.
Okay, sir. Agribusiness is business in Nigeria. And part of the reason why we're here is also to talk about the agriculture, agribusiness as per se, and why youths are not engaging in active agribusiness. I want to ask you, you to give us business or why some of the youths in the state are not engaging in active agricultural business.
Yeah, we have two challenges, and it's also why I can quickly answer that question because we're already working on that. A major issue is that there is high concentration of youths in the town, and agriculture is not practiced inside the town. And it also prompted our rural road approach. I believe that if the communities are developed, if there is light in the community, if there is road in the community, and possibly a network in the community, most of our youths would want to stay in the community and farm. That is one thing, and this government is working towards that. But the major challenge that we have about youth involvement in agriculture is the concept. We have been redefining the concept. We have been doing some orientation to let the youth understand that when we talk about agriculture, we're not talking about crude, farming, taking hoes and so on and so forth. The youth have always seen agriculture as, left for those who didn't go to school, which is a wrong concept. And that is why we presently have been, a kind of anchoring on the issue of value chain development in the agricultural sector, talking about packaging and so on and so forth. Apart from production, because most time the youth looks at agriculture from the angle of production. But we believe that beyond production, the produced product need to be processed. The produced product need to be, a kind of, packaged and so on and so forth. So the challenge of the youth is the concept they have about agriculture. Another issue is the erroneous concepts in politics. Because most youths want to be appointed as councillors, they want to be appointed as management committee members, they want to play politics and so on and so forth, even when they have nothing to offer. Because if you do not have an experience, if you've not been able to take care of yourself, you cannot take care of society. So the challenge of the youth is a kind of orientation, coupled with the fact of the issues we have with our educational system. Because most cases, our educational system has not prepared us for an independent life. Everybody who lives in university with the intent of looking for a job. Nobody wants to be on his own. Nobody wants to, nobody wants to grow himself. So I believe that the challenge before us as leaders of the state is to continue our reorientation drive, to let the people, the youth understand that we have more life if we can develop our agricultural sector, we have comparative advantage.